What is your path to Dharma?
Welcome, welcome. Path to Dharma podcast here. I am Shannon. I'm here with my beautiful daughter Shay, and we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on the fifth canto, and we are gonna wrap this book up today, Shay. We are wrapping it up. What do you think?
Yes, we are. We only have two chapters left in the fifth canto. Looking forward to the sixth canto. Well, really
Yeah,
looking forward to just wrapping this one up and seeing how we feel,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah, definitely, definitely. So we have been in the last couple chapters getting a description of the different planets. We started with like Jambudvipa being described of all these different lokas, these different planets and locations that various demigods and gods and humans even can incarnate, Earth being one of such. We learned about Rahu, we learned about the planetary movements in the sun, and now we are on chapter 25, the glories of Lord Ananta. So, I think this should be pretty interesting. I'm really excited to keep going. And then we'll wrap it up with the very last chapter
Yeah,
about the hellish planets.
which is just crazy in the beginning of the book of these hellish planets.
Right. Always so interesting. Always so interesting. Okay. As always, before we get going, anything we want to announce or say? I don't, I
I don't
don't,
think so.
I don't think so either. Let's do small bases.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one must first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Nārayaṇ Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead is established as an irrevocable.
Fact, fact, fact. You know what I love about this? You've been saying those obeisances since the beginning, and here we are, basically halfway through. And it says by reading it, like all the troublesome thoughts from your heart will be banished.
Ah,
And I can see it. I can see why, because you are starting to gain a perspective. If you really read it and believe what you're reading and really start to take it in, then it's like, whoa, wait a second, I can see why you could
yeah,
detach and not worry. Because then you say to yourself, well, this is just a life. I'm on this wheel of time. And this is part of what I'm doing. And every situation that comes up is for my best and highest good. It truly is for my evolution because my soul is trying to return to source. And so every lesson is meant for me. And this is what I'm learning. Um, and I love it. I'm so here
yeah.
for it.
I think, like, in particular, the last couple of chapters that have been so scientific, and just explaining the cosmos and the universe is so powerful in helping you to zoom out and be like, oh, right,
Yes.
we're just like
Yes.
we really are just like a tiny little fractal. There are millions of lokas out there.
Right.
Like,
That we
we
don't
are
even
just
understand. Just we can't even conceptualize most of them. Right.
right, right.
Seas of honey and lakes made of milk and like all sort of random different stuff.
It just really puts it into perspective that you're right. We are just on this wheel of time, and
Yeah.
this is a fleeting moment, literally a fleeting moment.
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
why bhakti is so powerful, because if you can really guide your life in that way or dedicate your life to God in that way, yeah, everything changes. Suddenly everything is God.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. I was just reading this little story about Sri Ramakrishna and Ma Kali and basically his interactions with this cat and how Sri Ramakrishna was seeing Ma Kali in everything. Everywhere he looked, he saw Kali. So this food that he had prepared to like offer to the goddess, he ended up feeding to this cat. And I don't know if someone asked him or whatever, but he basically says, like, she is the cat.
Yeah.
Like I see her in the cat. So
Hmm.
I'm giving it to her. I'm still
Yeah.
giving it to her. So like that's the kind of thing that when we are like reading all these, like you said, scientific kind of like this many miles and this many, here's the characteristics, it really does feel like it's just all part of like this dream, like Vishnu's dream, like you know what I mean? It's so good. It just puts perspective, a whole different perspective on just your life and everything. Okay.
It's crazy being on Earth.
I love it. I
It's
love it.
crazy being human
Yeah,
on
it's
Earth.
great. It's great. I love it. I love it.
All right, chapter 25, text 1, the glories of Lord Ananta.
Let's go.
Sri Sukadeva Goswami said to Maharaja Pariksit, My dear king, approximately 240,000 miles beneath the planet Pātāla lives another incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the expansion of Lord Vishnu known as Lord Ananta or Lord Sankasarna. He is always in the transcendental position, but because he is worshipped by Lord Śiva, the deity of Tamoguna, or darkness, he is sometimes called Tamasi. Lord Ananta is the predominating deity of the material mode of ignorance, as well as the false ego of all conditioned souls. When a conditioned living being thinks, I am the enjoyer, and this world is meant to be enjoyed by me, this conception of life is dictated to him by Sankasarna. Thus, the mundane conditioned soul thinks himself the Supreme Lord.
Wow, starting off hot, coming in hot, Suka Deva Goswami. Like, yeah, that says it all. Okay, text two. Sukadeva Goswami continued. This great universe, situated on one of Lord Anantadeva's thousands of hoods, appears just like a white mustard seed. It is infinitesimal compared to the hood of Lord Ananta.
At the time of devastation, when Lord Anantadeva desires to destroy the entire creation, he becomes slightly angry. Then, from between his two eyebrows appears three-eyed Rudra, carrying a trident. This Rudra, who is known as Sankarsana, is the embodiment of 11 Rudras, or incarnations of Lord Shiva. He appears in order to devastate the entire creation.
The pink, transparent toenails on the Lord's lotus feet are exactly like valuable gems polished to a mirror finish. When the unalloyed devotees and the leaders of snakes offer their obeisances to Lord Sankarsana with great devotion, they become very joyful upon seeing their own beautiful faces reflected in his toenails. Their cheeks are decorated with glittering earrings, and the beauty of their faces is extremely pleasing to see.
Lord Ananta's arms are attractively long, beautifully decorated with bangles, and completely spiritual. They are white, and so they appear like silver columns. When the beautiful princesses of the serpent kings, hoping for the Lord's auspicious blessing, smear his arms with aguru pulp, sandalwood pulp, and kunkuma, the touch of his limbs awakens lusty desires within them. Understanding their minds, the Lord looks at the princesses with a merciful smile, and they become bashful, realizing that he knows their desires. Then they smile beautifully and look upon the Lord's lotus face, which is beautified by reddish eyes rolling slightly from intoxication and delighted by the love for his devotees.
Wow, the visual on this thing is incredible. Just the
Yeah.
language. Wow. Lord Sankarsana is the ocean of unlimited spiritual qualities, and thus he is known as Anantadeva. He is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the welfare of all living entities within this material world, he resides in his abode, restraining his anger and intolerance.
This is so interesting.
So interesting.
Sukadeva Goswami continued, the demigods, the demons, the serpentine demigods, the siddhas, the Gandharvas, the Vidyadharas, and many highly elevated sages constantly offer prayers to the Lord. Because he is intoxicated, the Lord looks bewildered, and his eyes, appearing like flowers in full bloom, move to and fro. He pleases his personal associates, the heads of the demigods, by the sweet vibrations emanating from his mouth. Dressed in bluish garments and wearing a single earring, he holds a plow on his back with two beautiful and well-constructed hands. Appearing as white as the heavenly King Indra, he wears a golden belt around his waist and a Vijayanti garland of ever-fresh tulasi blossoms around his neck. Bees intoxicated by the honey-like fragrance of the Tulasi flowers hum very sweetly around the garland, which thus becomes more and more beautiful. In this way, the Lord enjoys his very magnanimous pastimes.
I was just seeing if there was a picture, and there isn't, but I want to see a picture of that.
Yeah.
That's all. Text 8. If persons who are very serious about being liberated from material life hear the glories of Anantadeva from the mouth of a spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession, and if they always meditate upon Sankarsana, the Lord enters the cores of their hearts, vanquishes all the dirty contamination of the material modes of nature, and cuts to pieces the hard knot within the heart, which has been tied tightly since time immemorial by the desire to dominate material nature through fruitive activities. Narada Muni, the son of Lord Brahma, always glorifies Anantadeva in his father's assembly. There he sings blissful verses of his own composition, accompanied by his stringed instrument or a celestial singer known as tamburu.
Can't flip the page. By his glance, the Supreme Personality of Godhead enables the modes of material nature to act as the causes of universal creation, maintenance, and destruction. The Supreme Soul is unlimited and beginningless, and although he is one, he has manifested himself in many forms. How can human society understand the ways of the Supreme? How?
How? This manifestation of subtle and gross matter exists within the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Out of causeless mercy toward his devotees, he exhibits various forms, which are all transcendental. The Supreme Lord is most liberal, and he possesses all mystic power. To conquer the minds of his devotees and give pleasure to their hearts, he appears in different incarnations and manifests many pastimes.
Even if he is distressed or degraded, any person who chants the holy name of the Lord, having heard it from a bona fide spiritual master, is immediately purified. Even if he chants the Lord's name jokingly or by chance, he and anyone who hears him are freed from all sins. Therefore, how can anyone seeking disentanglement from the material clutches avoid chanting the name of Lord Sesa? Of whom else should one take shelter?
I mean, they something like this was said yesterday. Even if you accidentally say it, if you even
Yeah.
jokingly say it, or just by chance, like it's put into a song that you're singing or something that you don't even realize. It's so interesting.
Well, I feel like this is why kirtan is so powerful, right?
Yeah, right.
With chanting the Lord's name, and it's so catchy. I will just be singing kirtan, you know?
Yeah, I personally have a song stuck in my head for weeks now. That song about Hanuman or whatever, that rap
Yeah.
about Hanuman. It's constant. It's like a constant in my head. It's like ram, 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 like always going. There's like this background beat to it that I just like I can't shake it out of my head. But then I say to myself, okay, like am I
There's
like
work.
maybe I'm like
Yeah.
need some protection right now or something, and like that's why I have that. They call it like an earworm, right? Where it's just stuck. So interesting. It's like so interesting this thing of mantras, and I almost feel like that needs to be a whole separate discussion between us about what is a mantra and the purpose of mantras. And interesting that it noted that it was supposed to come from a bona fide spiritual master.
Yeah.
So also really interesting. What does that mean in this day and age of the internet? Where even when I grew up in the 70s, you had to go to the library to look stuff up. Like you didn't have an internet. You didn't have a way to find out stuff unless you went there. So I can now go online and find all the Vedas. I can find all these translations. I can find bona fide spiritual masters talking to me, even though they're
Yeah.
not talking to Shannon. They are talking to the internet or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So it's like interesting that the universe has opened up all this knowledge that used to be really like private, even sacred. Like you couldn't even get these mantras unless you met a spiritual guru that gave you the mantra. It's like, what is up with the world? Is that just part of Kali Yuga? Like all this information overload coming out?
Oh, I mean, and it's just that. It's like, and there's a rap about Hanuman. you
Right. And
know?
there's cool rap about Hanuman. Right.
Yeah.
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 All right. Sorry. Sorry to distract. Where am I? Text 12. Because the Lord is unlimited, no one can estimate his power. This entire universe, filled with its many great mountains, rivers, oceans, trees, and living entities, is resting just like an atom on one of his many thousands of hoods. Is there anyone, even with thousands of tongues, who can describe his glories? That's kind of like what we were saying is like we're like such a small, infinitesimal, like tiny little spot of reality that it's hard to get too caught up in getting upset about anything.
Right. Right. Well, when you know this information.
Right. We're a speck of dust on Ananta's toe.
Right. It's floating around.
Our entire universe, no less, not just us. We're a speck
Right.
within a speck.
Right. There is no end to the great and glorious qualities of that powerful Lord Anantadeva. Indeed, his prowess is unlimited. Though self-sufficient, he himself is the support of everything. He resides beneath the lower planetary systems and easily sustains the entire universe.
Easily. There's something in the Gita that Krishna is like, I sustain this universe with the very tiniest fraction of my energy.
Right.
It's that. Yeah. My dear King, as I heard it from my spiritual master, I have fully described to you the creation of this material world according to the fruit of activities and desires of the conditioned souls. Those conditioned souls who are full of material desires achieve various situations in different planetary systems, and in this way they live within this material creation. Wow.
My dear King, I have thus described how people generally act according to their different desires and, as a result, get different types of bodies in higher or lower planets. You inquired of these things from me, and I have explained to you whatever I have heard from authorities. What shall I speak of now?
Okay, I'm just thinking about like Parikshit and all of the stuff that he has just learned that we've had an entire 5 books full of. Like he's just sitting there taking all this in, and Sutavik Goswami's like, "What else do you want to know?" I
Yeah,
can't, you know what I mean? It's like, wow, I can't even think one single good question for my guru, much less.
right. And this is 7 days. He's absorbing this all
Right.
in 7 days, right?
Nuts, nuts. Okay, well, he does have another question. Text one, King Parikshit, this is the Hellish planets, chapter 26. King Parikshit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, my dear sir, why are the living entities put into different material situations? Kindly explain this to me.
All right, good question.
Why? Why?
The great sage Sukadeva Goswami said, my dear king, in this material world there are three kinds of activities, those in the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. Because all people are influenced by the three modes of material nature, the results of their activities are also divided into three. One who acts in the mode of goodness is religious and happy. One who acts in passion achieves mixed misery and happiness.
Hmm.
And one who acts under the influence of ignorance is always unhappy and lives like an animal. Because of the varying degrees to which the living entities are influenced by the different modes of nature, their destinations are also of different varieties.
Okay. Just as by executing various pious activity, one achieves different positions in heavenly life, by acting impiously, one achieves different positions in hellish life. Those who are activated by the material mode of ignorance engage in impious activities, and according to the extent of their ignorance, they are placed in different grades of hellish life. If one acts in the mode of ignorance because of madness, his resulting misery is the least severe. One who acts impiously but knows the distinction between pious and impious activities is placed in a hell of intermediate severity. And for one who acts impiously and ignorantly because of atheism, the resultant hellish life is the worst. Because of ignorance, every living entity has been carried by various desires into thousands of different hellish planets since time immemorial. I shall try to describe them as far as possible. I mean, again, it's like, yep, we've probably done that. We've probably been to some of these.
Yeah.
Is this one? I mean, some,
No,
no,
definitely
it
not.
isn't. No, it isn't. It isn't. It isn't. But
So I think we're all right. I think we're going to be okay. I hope I'm chanting Krishna's name in my time ago.
yes.
All right, text 4. King Pariksit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, "My dear Lord, are the hellish regions outside the universe, within the coverings of the universe, or in different places on this planet?" Oh,
Good question. The great sage Sukadeva Goswami answered, all the hellish planets are situated in the intermediate space between the three worlds and the Garbaloka, no, Garbhodaka ocean. They lie on the southern side of the universe, beneath Bhumandala and slightly above the water of the Garbhodaka ocean. Pitraloka is also located in this region between the Garbhodaka Ocean, I can't say that for some reason, Garbhodaka Ocean, and the lower planetary systems. All the residents of Pitraloka, headed by Agnisvata, meditate in great samadhi on the Supreme Personality of Godhead and always wish their families well.
King
Hmm.
of the Pittas is Yamaraja, the very powerful son of the sun god. He resides in Pitraloka with his personal assistants, and while abiding by the rules and regulations set down by the Supreme Lord, has his agents and Yamadutas bring all the sinful men to him immediately upon their death. After bringing them within his jurisdiction, he properly judges them according to their specific sinful activities and sends them to one of the many hellish planets for suitable punishment.
Some authorities say that there is a total of 21 hellish planets, and some say 28. My dear king, I shall outline all of them according to their names, forms, and symptoms. Then it lists all their names, which I'm not going to make us all listen to, because we're about to probably read them. All these planets are meant for punishing the living entities.
My dear king, a person who appropriates another's legitimate wife, children, or money is arrested at the time of death by the fierce Yamadutas, who bind him with the rope of time and forcibly throw him into the hellish planet known as Tamishra. On this very dark planet, the sinful man is chastised by the Yamadutas, who beat and rebuke him. He is starved and he is given no water to drink. Thus, the wrathful assistants of Yamaraja cause him severe suffering, and sometimes he faints from their chastisement.
Wow. There's this scene in this movie, Ghost, from the 90s, where the main villain basically gets pulled down to hell. And there's this scene of him, and these like ghosts come and just sort of like yank him down. He's like, ah, this is what this reminds me of. Like arrested at your time of death, immediately arrested. It's like you're going toward the light. Wait a second. Here comes the Yamadutas. Okay, the destination of a person who slyly cheats another man and enjoys his wife and children is the hell known as Andata Misra. There, his condition is exactly like that of a tree being chopped at its roots. Even before reaching there, the living being is subjected to various extreme miseries. These afflictions are so severe that he loses his intelligence and sight. It is for this reason that learned sages call this hell Andata Misra.
A person who accepts his body as his self works. A person who accepts his body as his self works very hard day and night for money to maintain his own body and the bodies of his wife and children. While working to maintain himself and his family, he may commit violence against other living entities. Such a person is forced to give up his body and his family at the time of death, when he suffers the reaction for his envy of other creatures by being thrown into the hell called Rarava.
In this life, an envious person commits violent acts against many living entities. Therefore, after his death, when he is taken to hell by Yamaraja, those living entities who were hurt by him appear as animals called rurus to inflict very severe pain upon him. Learned scholars call this hell Rarava. Not generally seen in this world, the ruru is more envious than a snake. Yikes, yikes.
Punishment in the hell called Rava is compulsory for a person who maintains his own body by hurting others. In this hell, Ruru animals known as Kravayada, Krivaya, torment him and eat his flesh.
Yikes. For the maintenance of their bodies and the satisfaction of their tongues, cruel persons cook poor animals and birds alive. Such persons are condemned even by man-eaters. In their next lives, they are carried by the Yamadutas to the hell known as Kumbhikpaka, Kumbhikpaka, where they are cooked in boiling oil. Yikes.
The keeper of the tongue is put into the hell known as Kalasutra, which has a circumference of 80,000 miles and which is made entirely of copper. Heated from below by fire and from above by the scorching sun, the copper surface of this planet is extremely hot. Thus, the murderer of a Brahmin suffers from being burned both internally and externally. Internally, he is burning with hunger and thirst, and externally, he is burning from the scorching heat of the sun and the fire beneath the copper surface. Therefore, he sometimes lies down, sometimes sits, sometimes stands up, and sometimes runs here and there. He must suffer in this way for as many thousands of years as there are hairs on the body of an animal.
Wow. If a person deviates from the path of the Vedas in the absence of an emergency, the servants of Yamaraja put him into a hell called Asipatravana, where they beat him with whips. When he runs hither and thither, fleeing from the extreme pain, on all sides he runs into palm trees with leaves like sharpened swords. Thus injured all over his body and fainting at every step, he cries out, "Oh, what shall I do now? How shall I be saved?" This is how one suffers who deviates from the accepted religious principles. I don't mean to laugh, but these are like kind of a little bit ingenious of different ways to torture people.
I'm a little scared. I'm not scared. Not a Krishna. In his next life, a sinful king or governmental representative who punishes an innocent person or who inflicts corporal punishment upon a Brahmin is taken by the Yamadutas to the hell named Sukara Mukha, where the most powerful assistants of Yamaraja crush him exactly as one crushes sugar cane to squeeze out the juice. The sinful living entity cries very pitifully and faints, just like an innocent man undergoing punishments. This is the result of punishing a faultless person.
By the arrangement of the Supreme Lord, low-grade living beings like bugs and mosquitoes suck the blood of human beings and other animals. We were just asking, why did Krishna put ticks and
Yeah.
mosquitoes on Earth? Okay, anyway. Such insignificant creatures are unaware that their bites are painful to the human being. However, first-class human beings, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaisyas, are developed in consciousness, and therefore they know how painful it is to be killed. A human being endowed with knowledge certainly commits sin if he kills or torments insignificant creatures who have no discrimination. The Supreme Lord punishes such a man by putting him into the hell known as Andakupa, where he is attacked by all the birds and beasts, reptiles, mosquitoes, lice, worms, flies, and any other creatures he tormented during his life. They attack him from all sides, robbing him of the pleasure of sleep. Unable to rest, he constantly wanders about in the darkness. Thus, in Andakupa, his suffering is just like that of a creature in the lower species. Wow, 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 wow. Okay. Just wow.
I kill ticks. I do.
I don't kill spiders and I usually don't kill bugs, but I wonder, okay,
But
there's a certain level of consciousness that I feel like you're held to. And I do feel like it's kind of saying this, right? Um, if you're a 3-year-old and you're outside and you squish an ant, for example, your level of responsibility is very different than that of a Brahmin who's fully aware of the consciousness level of the ant and that the ant will feel pain and they'll pop, take the karma upon themselves if they decide to squish the ant. That's different, right?
I mean, that sounds like
Yeah, you're right. I'm like, yes, no, yes,
that's
no.
Bruce Saunders in here. Bruce is where I'm picking ticks off and flushing them down the toilet. All
I
right,
usually,
maybe. We need to find a different method by which to dispose of the tick without killing.
Someone tell us in the comments what you think about this whole thing. Does your level of consciousness matter as far as,
Hare Krishna, let's continue.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's keep going.
Text 18. A person is considered no better than a crow if after receiving some food he does not divide it amongst guests, old men, and children, but simply eats it himself, or if he eats it without performing the 5 kinds of sacrifice. After death, he is put into the most abominable hell, known as Krimi Bhujana. In that hell is a lake of 80,000 miles wide and filled with worms. He becomes a worm in that lake and feeds on the other worms there, who also feed on him. Unless he atones for his actions before his death, such a sinful man remains in the hellish lake of Krim, Bojana for many years, as there are yojanas in the width of the lake.
I'm like so skeeved out right now. Thanks. My dear king, a person who, in the absence of an emergency, robs a Brahmin or indeed anyone else of his gems and gold is put into a hell known as Sandamsa. There, his skin is torn and separated by red-hot iron balls and tongs. In this way, his entire body is cut to pieces.
I like how it says in the absence of an emergency. It
Yeah,
said
I
that
do. It did say that. So, like in an emergency, like I have to do something or use something or take something to save someone else's life or whatever. There seems to be some type of waiver from the universe. Good to know.
text
Good to know. Good to know.
a man or woman who indulges in sexual intercourse with an unworthy member of the opposite sex is punished after death by the assistance of Yamaraja in the hell known as Tapta Surmi. There, such men and women are beaten with whips. The man is forced to embrace a red hot iron form of a woman, and the woman is forced to embrace a similar form of a man. Such is the punishment for illicit sex.
A person who indulges in sex indiscriminately, even with animals, is taken after death to the hell known as Viraja Kantaka Salmali. In this hell, there is a silk cotton tree full of thorns as strong as thunderbolts. The agents of Yamaraja hang the sinful man on that tree and pull him down forcibly so that the thorns very severely tear his body.
A person who is born into a responsible family, such as a kshatriya or a member of royalty or a government servant, but who neglects to execute his prescribed duties according to religious principles, and who thus becomes degraded, falls down at the time of death into the river of hell known as Vaitarani. This river, which is a moat surrounding hell, is full of ferocious aquatic animals. When a sinful man is thrown into the river, the aquatic animals there immediately begin to eat him, but because of his extremely sinful life, he does not leave his body. He constantly remembers his sinful activities and suffers terribly in that river, which is full of stool, urine, pus, blood, hair, nails, bones, marrow, flesh, and fat.
All right, fellow human.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Text 23. The shameless husbands of low-born Sudra women live exactly like animals, and therefore they have no good behavior, cleanliness, or regulated life. After death, such persons are thrown into the hell called Priyoda, where they are put into an ocean filled with pus, stool, urine, mucus, saliva, and similar things. Sudras who could not improve themselves fall into that ocean and are forced to eat those disgusting things.
If in this life a man of the higher classes is very fond of taking his pet dogs, mules, or asses into the forest to hunt and kill animals unnecessarily, he is placed after death into the hell known as Pranaroda. There, the assistants of Yamaraja make him their targets and pierce him with arrows.
A person who in this life is proud of his eminent position and who heedlessly sacrifices animals for material prestige is put into the hell called Vishasana after death. There, the assistants of Yamaraja kill him after giving him unlimited pain.
If a foolish member of the twice-born classes, Brahmins, Sastriyas, or Vaishnavas, force his wife to drink his semen out of a lusty desire to keep her under control, he is put after death into the hell known as Lala Baksa. There he is thrown into a flowing river of semen which he is forced to drink.
This is like every thing that you think to yourself about some bad people in the world. You're like, you know what? I hope when you die, you're thrown into a river full of semen that you have to drink continually, and that's all you have to ever eat or drink ever. That is, first of all,
Little did
never.
we know,
That's
regardless.
right. Never thought had that thought before, but do you know what I mean? There's like a certain level of yeah, see, that I'm kind of going through as I'm reading these.
Well,
Not that I want to pick any of these hells to go in. I'm just saying, do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Okay. Still going. Text 27. In this world, some persons are professional plunderers who set fire to others' houses or administer poison to them. Also, members of the royalty or government officials sometimes plunder mercantile men by forcing them to pay income tax and by other methods. After death, such demons are put into hell known as Sarama Yadana. On that planet, there are 720 dogs with teeth as strong as thunderbolts. Under the orders of the agents of Yamaraja, these dogs voraciously devour such sinful people. So there goes all the politicians. It's wow.
A person who in this life bears false witness or lies while transacting business or giving charity is severely punished after death by the agents of Yamaraja. Such a sinful man is taken to the top of a mountain 800 miles high and thrown headfirst into the hell known as Avishimat. This hell has no shelter and is made of strong stone resembling the waves of water. There is no water there, however, and thus it is called waterless. Although the sinful man is repeatedly thrown from the mountain and his body broken into tiny pieces, he still does not die but continuously suffers chastisement.
Any Brahmin or Brahmin's wife who drinks liquor is taken to the agents of Yamaraja to the hell known as Ayapana. This hell also awaits any Kshatriya, Vaishya, or person under a vow who, in illusion, drinks Somarasa. In Ayapana, the agents of Yamaraja stand on the chests and pour hot melted iron into their mouths. Yikes.
A low-born and abominable person who in this life becomes falsely proud, thinking, I am great, and who thus fails to show proper respect to one more elevated than he by birth, austerity, education, behavior, caste, or spiritual order, is like a dead man even in this lifetime. And after death, he is thrown headfirst into the hell known as Shira Kardama. There he must suffer great tribulation at the hand of the agents of Yamaraja.
There are men and women in this world who sacrifice human beings to Bhairava or Bhadrakali and then eat their victims' flesh. Those who perform such sacrifices are taken after death to the abode of Yamaraja, where their victims, having taken the form of Rakshas, cut them to pieces with sharpened swords. Just as in this world, the man-eaters drank their victims' blood, dancing and singing in jubilation, their victims now enjoy drinking the blood of the sacrificers and celebrating in the same way.
Yeah.
Yep.
In this life, some people give shelter to animals and birds that come to them for protection in the village or forest. And after making them believe that they will be protected, such good people pierce them with lances or threads and play with them like toys, giving them great pain. After death, such people are brought to the assistant by the assistance of Yamaraja to the hell known as Sulaprota, where their bodies are pierced with sharp, needle-like lances. They suffer from hunger and thirst, and sharp-beaked birds, such as vultures and herons, come at them from all sides to tear their bodies. Tortured and suffering, they can then remember the sinful activities they committed in the past.
I mean, this just reminds me of zoos, which have always made me slightly uncomfortable of us trapping animals in these cages. And it's just is this what happens to the zoo keeper people? I don't know. Okay. Those who in this life are like envious serpents, always angry and giving pain to other living entities, fall after death into the hell known as Dandasuka. My dear king, in this hell there are serpents with 5 or 7 hoods. These serpents eat such sinful persons just as snakes eat mice. There's a nice visual.
Those who in this life confine other living entities in dark wells, granaries, or mountain caves are put after death into the hell known as Avarta Nirodhana, where they themselves are pushed into dark wells, where poisonous fumes and smoke suffocate them and they suffer very severely.
A householder who receives guests or visitors with cruel glances as if to burn them to ashes is put into the hell called Paryavartana, where he is gazed at by hard-eyed vultures, herons, crows, and similar birds, which suddenly swoop down, and pluck out his eyes with great force.
One who in this world or this life is very proud of his wealth always thinks, I am so rich, who can equal me? His vision is twisted, and he is always afraid that someone will take his wealth. Indeed, he even suspects his superiors. His face and heart dry up at the thought of losing his wealth, and therefore he always looks like a wretched fiend. He is not in any way able to obtain actual happiness, and he does not know what it is to be free from anxiety. Because of the sinful things he does to earn money, augment his wealth, and protect it, he is put into the hell called Suchi Muka, where the officials of Yamaraja punish him by stitching thread through his entire body like weavers manufacturing cloth.
My dear King Parikshit, in the province of Yamaraja, there are hundreds and thousands of hellish planets. The impious people I have mentioned, and also those who I have not mentioned, must all enter these various planets according to the degree of their impiety. Those who are pious, however, enter other planetary systems, namely the planets of the demigods. Nevertheless, both the pious and the impious are again brought to earth after the results of their pious or impious acts are exhausted. Okay, so you work it out on whatever planet, then you come back to earth.
Right.
Okay.
In the beginning, the second and third cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam, I have already described how one can progress on the path of liberation. In the Puranas, the vast universal existence, which is like an egg divided into 14 parts, is described. This vast form is considered the external body of the Lord, created by his energy and qualities. It is generally called the Virata Rupa. If one reads the descriptions of this external form of the Lord with great faith, or if one hears about it or explains it to others to propagate Bhagavata Dharma or Krishna consciousness, his faith and devotion in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, will gradually increase. Although developing his consciousness is very difficult, by this process one can purify himself and gradually come to an awareness of the supreme absolute truth.
One who is interested in liberation, who accepts the path of liberation and is not attracted to the path of conditional life, is called yati or a devotee. Such a person should first control his mind by thinking of the Virata Rupa, the gigantic universal form of the Lord, and then gradually think of the spiritual form of Krishna after hearing of both forms. Thus, one's mind is fixed in samadhi. By devotional service, one can then realize the spiritual form of the Lord, which is the destination of devotees. Thus, his life becomes successful.
My dear king, I have now described for you this planet Earth, other planetary systems, and their lands, rivers, and mountains. I have also described the sky, the oceans, the lower planetary systems, the directions, the hellish planetary systems, and the stars. These continue the Virata Rupa, the gigantic material form of the Lord, on which all living entities repose. Thus I have explained the wonderful expanse of the external body of the Lord.
Thus ends the Bhagavatam purports of the fifth canto, 26th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled A Description of the Hellish Planets. We just finished it. Canto 5. We finished it. Done. Dunzo. Dunzo. Wow. Wow. And wow. That went out with a like a hellish fiery end.
It sure
Right?
is. Like, where does Canto 6 pick up?
Wow. Okay. Wow.
That one was heavy, a
That
heavy ending, I'd say. Well, all right. Well,
well, everyone, thanks for making it this far with us. We made it all the way. Now we're gonna start the sixth canto next.
it's
Um, it's like really, we almost need to reflect a little. Maybe we need another whole show to reflect on what everything we've learned up to this point. Um, I'm
it's kind
just,
of hard to put into words even what we have absorbed thus
yeah,
far. There's been
yeah,
so much.
so much. We've learned so
I
much.
mean, just even the beginning of the Srimad when we're meeting Sri Krishna, like, and then leading all the way up to this. We just heard about literally everything on in the universe.
So good. Wow. Sutta Goswami. High five. 10 stars.
Yeah,
Eight triple plus.
absolutely.
Okay. Well, I guess next time we are going to bust into Canto 6, sixth canto. And until then, love and blessings to you, my friends. Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. We'll see you next time.